Hi everyone. I guess this is my last screencast of the semester. With that being said, I think that this course has really changed the way that I look at design and has really developed skills that I didn't even realize that I had. So looking at my original MMP proposal, my main goal of my project was to set up a website for teachers to use to help promote different technologies in their classroom. And the purpose of this website was to serve as a how-to for different types of technology that teachers can then use and then have their students use in their classroom. And also looking at kind of my objectives were to teach educators how to use different multimedia tools that can be incorporated into their educational units and provide educators with online resources to better help them to use technology in their classroom. I, based on this plan, was planning to develop a web page that had different sections for different types of technology, and then for each of those sections have a how-to on how to develop and use that type of multimedia, and then resources for ways to use it in the classroom, and links to resources involving that multimedia. So that being said, I definitely think I accomplished these goals and objectives with my final website. And but even though I accomplished them, I'm not really sure I originally would have thought that my website would have looked the way it does. And I'm definitely confident, though, that my final project will be helpful to educators, which was my most important objective, because I definitely think that using technology and essentially meaning being an educator in the 21st century is using technology, and that use of technology is important in a classroom, especially with kind of the way that most of our students' futures are going to look and the way that society is moving towards a lot of technology integration. And it's something that a lot of districts want to see is how are you using technology in your classroom? And a lot of teachers, I think, have hit a point where they're saying, I don't know how to incorporate technology, or I don't know how to use the technology that districts are asking me to incorporate. And so I think that my website provides teachers with a great way to say, okay, here are some tools, technology tools. Here's a how-to on how to use it. Okay, and I know how to use it now. How can I translate that into classroom use, and how can I have my students use it? When I first started developing my website, even with this in mind, I don't think I was prepared for developing a web page because I don't think I realized how much time everything was going to take. This is kind of the first actual like web page that I've designed besides a wiki site, which is kind of very different. And I think my first setbacks was trying to figure out which platform I wanted to use, because I had looked around, and a lot of websites, they were hard to use in terms of design rules that I was trying to keep in mind, or they were very limited unless you paid for upgrades. So luckily, one of my classmates suggested using Wix.com, which once I started to actually build my site, I found out that this was actually a great tool because I was able to accomplish both my technology objectives and keep in mind design rules while I was doing this. So I think once I got my final site, I was actually able to accomplish these goals and objectives that I had set. And I think a lot of that came from input from other teachers and my fellow classmates on kind of what types of tools they wanted to see and how my actual website was working through um, a lot of our updates. So you can see that I've posted my first MMP update and got a lot of feedback from my fellow classmates and was able to really discuss, okay, what do you think of where I'm going so far? And then I was able to go from there and make changes. And then my second update, I was able to do the same thing after that. Um, so I think that a lot of that was very helpful in actually figuring out what types of technology I wanted to use. And I also think the mixed um, design media critique was very, very helpful with trying to figure out ways to incorporate still media, moving media, and audio media, because I was able to go through and say, okay, these are the ones that I'm going to pick for this project and figure out if they're good or bad. And then with my fellow classmates screencast, I was also able to see a lot of the things that they were choosing. So you can actually see that I ended up stealing Animoto for my webpage thanks to recommendations from Dennis, actually. And I think that this design project, I was able to really try to narrow down some technology that I wanted to put on my page, because I think my original proposal, I was very vague when just saying I want to incorporate technology. And I think I was able to pick a good mix of audio, moving, and still media types for my web page, to give different options for teachers of using technology based on a lot of the mixed digital media critique projects. And I think that the four types of main media, you can see Animoto down here, were are very helpful for teachers of varying grade levels and subjects. So I think I might be a little biased with towards middle school science while creating this, but I think that there's a lot of flexibility within each of these types of technology to be used over a wide variety of different age levels and topics. So going back to my original kind of how did I start doing this, because like I said, I think figuring out the role of technology in your classroom is important. And so by developing this site, I was hoping to do that. And I think that this just kind of shows we're using online technology. I was using this web page tool to actually design technology for this class in the form of a website. And so you can see that even as a graduate course, this is integrating technology into our class. So this is going to be a recurring theme no matter what age level. So for me, I was like, I don't know exactly how I'm going to accomplish creating this project. And so for me, the first things to keep in mind were from a lot of the mini art school projects that we had done. Specifically, the first week of our mini art school, we read in White Space is Not Your Enemy. There was the 13 layout sins. And I'm going to be honest when I say this, I was very guilty of a lot of these. Specifically, the first one I focused on was centering everything, and then also too many fonts, busy background. A lot of these are things that I very guilty of when trying to design things and trying to like make posters and pictures and things like that. And so this was something for me that I had to say, okay, these are the things I'm going to keep in mind when I start trying to visually design my website. And then also the 10 web design rules that you can break article was helpful. And then the design rules of thumb, I think, was also very helpful. So from week one of the mini art school, I think I started to begin to develop, okay, this is how I visually want to design my website. And then keeping in mind, this was also mini art school number 4 was very helpful when starting, because we had to design a storyboard. And so this was very helpful in my mind. I said, okay, based on this, what do I think I want my actual website to look like? And you can see that my actual web page looks very similar to the storyboard. So you can see I have my screencast and then my how-tos, and then going back, I have my step-by-step instructions and my screencast. So this was very helpful when actually deciding on design. Also, Mini Art School 3 was very helpful with cropping and kind of learning visually how to deal with pictures. And this was actually made in Pixlr. So a lot of these is something I was able to kind of play around with Pixlr prior to actually starting my website because of Mini Art School. And I actually used Pixlr to do all of the cropping and editing of the pictures for my how-to section. And I actually ended up using Pixlr as one of my resources for teachers, because with all of the work and practice I'd gotten with it, I thought it was a very good tool. And I think that from there, I was able to really say, okay, I've got the technology that I want from the recommendations of my classmates in our Google Plus group, which was very helpful, and with their helpful with their feedback. I had my design tools from my blog and some of the readings, especially White Space is Not Your Enemy, and the mini art school projects, that I was able to then say, okay, let's put the technology together, the resource together, and the design tools together and develop a site. And so keeping that in mind, you can see that I have quite a bit of white space, which was something that I definitely will say that I used to try to make busy backgrounds. I used all sorts of font colors and font sizes. You can see that I tried to stick with the theme of a white background and then a singular font and a kind of singular color scheme of this navy blue and orange. So a lot of those things came from the White Space is Not Your Enemy 13 Sins, and I tried to keep those a lot in mind when developing this so that it was visually pleasing and also provided teachers with the technology resources that they could use in their classroom, because I was able to give them their how-to, and then I was able to then say, okay, how can I use this in the classroom? So I was able to make it visually pleasing and give them the resources that they need. So you can see, say for like podcasting, visually pleasing, and then here's our how-to. So now a teacher can say, okay, now I understand how to use this type of technology, either through the screencast or through the step-by-step. Now how do I apply it to my classroom? And you'll see here that I've got lesson plans and different ways to actually incorporate podcasting, for say, into the classroom, different YouTube videos for ways to bring it into classrooms or benefits of using it in your classrooms. And then since I focused specifically on Voki in my podcast or my screencast, here's other types of podcasting tools or audio tools that you can use in your classroom. And for each of these, the same story, ways to use it, YouTube videos, and then other types of tools relating to it. And so I'm hoping that my fellow teachers, my colleagues, and my classmates are able to continue to use a lot of these types of resources in their classrooms or even in their everyday life, because I know personally I'm going to be able to use a lot of these just for other things that I'd like to accomplish outside of school. And since it is a website, it's very fluid and always changing, and I can continue to kind of redesign and redevelop and reorganize and continue to change resources based on feedback that I get. And so I think that's the great thing about having developed a website, is now I can use this for my own personal use in my classroom. My colleagues can use it, and my classmates from this course can use it. And hopefully, as they're using it, and they find something that maybe, oh, here's another great resource, they send it to me through the Contact Us tab, or make suggestions on different types of tools that might be able to be added to this. And that's the great thing about a website, is it can always be updated, can always be changed, and can always be added to. And so I'm hoping in the future to continue to use this as a resource and hopefully continue to add to it so that my fellow colleagues and classmates and myself can continue to use it in the best possible way. So with that being said, I definitely think that I've learned a lot this semester, and I've enjoyed communicating with you through our Google Plus group and seeing what you've done on your blogs and with your projects, and being able to give you feedback and get feedback from you and grow as a educator and as a hopefully design guru at this point. Because I definitely think I've taken my design skills to a whole new level, and also now really see how to integrate technology into my classroom. So thank you for a great semester, and hopefully we'll keep in touch either through my website or even continue discussing things that we find in our Google Plus group.